This moment, I thought music, message. So, yeah. The subject, I was told before she fell asleep, was taste. One of the senses in her senses series. And so I was thinking of all the common phrases that contain the idea or the word of taste, and I'll name you some of them. They're familiar, and you can name some other ones. There's the taste of success. We think of it in terms of taste. And then there's the taste of the bitter taste, usually the bitter taste of defeat. Taste. Something's in good taste, or something was in bad taste. Something leaves a bad taste in the mouth after an experience. There is not related to that statement, there is the taste of the Danforth, depending on your taste. And now I understand, when I Googled that there's taste of all sorts of places. They've taste of Bloor West Village, taste of all places. And then there's, if you're old enough, Campbell's chicken soup tastes good, yes. And then there's the having to acquire a taste or develop a taste for something, which I've never quite understood. I mean, if you don't like it, but Greta will often, she likes so many very odd things. And she'll try this. I don't want to try it. It doesn't even smell good. I don't want to taste it. Well, pickles, for instance. I know what the look on your face would be, but I don't like pickles. And she tries. So this is a different pickle. It's a pickle. So I don't want to develop a taste. I don't want to be someone who likes that. So I don't want to try it. But develop a taste. How many of you have developed a taste for something you never would have thought you'd have liked, and now you're okay with it? Yeah. What was it? That's too bad. Okay. That's good. See, my taste is coming out. Another one, you've developed a taste for? Onions. That's good too. I haven't got that far yet. No. Mom used to hide it in the potato, like mash it up, and I detected it every time. You love turnip, yes?
I love turnip, and I've developed a taste for liver.
Whoa, well, that's protein or something. Iron, yes, okay.
Olives.
Did you do that? That's too bad. Yes. Yeah, they're very pickly, yes? Blue cheese. Well, stay away from us, yes, okay. and you didn't like it before. Now, I just in that, tangentially, how many of you now maybe not like someone, but can tolerate them, and before you couldn't at all? Have you developed a taste for somebody? Don't name them, Kelly. No. Don't point in the room. I like you now. I didn't like you a long time ago, but you develop a taste for someone that turned you off before, or you didn't get. What does Abraham Lincoln said? I met a man the other day I didn't like. I shall have to get to know him better. I love that. I hope people say that. You hope people say it about you. I forget the product. You'll know if you're old, Steve. You'll know this one. Mikey likes it. What was Mikey liking? What? Sorry? That's right. He was liking life. Mikey likes it. The little boy was surprised. Those of you that, you could probably, that's probably on the YouTube somewhere with Mikey likes it. And then, of course, the other phrase, someone has an appetite for something. I have an appetite for that, or I don't have an appetite for that. Or you can say, I lost my appetite for. Now, people have mentioned I've lost weight. I actually really haven't. I don't know why I look like I have. That's not good. But the only food I liked in the hospital was what Greta brought me. So I didn't gain an appetite for food that was delivered to me. And then there's the phrase, something spoils the appetite. Something spoils that. So the word taste is in a lot of our phrases in the way we think. Now, last week, if you were here, Greta talked about... what did she talk about? Smell, thank you. I was here. I was paying attention. I just forgot the particular taste. And did you hear, she had all the notes on the, this isn't being taped, she had all the notes on the table up there. Did you see? She put all the so she could get her facts right, then she turned around and never used them. And she spills out these facts. I cannot do that. Facts do not stay in my head. But I want to read you this, and I know you don't like people, it's hard for you, but I want you to just, because I've got 4 things to tell you about taste. Yes. I'm so bad with numbers, right? So very bad with numbers and dates and keeping track of things. And I got here today, which was good, but I lose track of things. You got to send me this little poster thing that says, there's 3 kind of people in the world. People that are good at math and people that aren't. Isn't that good? Some people don't get it. I think that's very bad. You don't really get it. Anyway, I'm one of that. So I have 4 thoughts about taste. One is wonder, warning, wants, and well-being. Former Baptists have to have these points that all start with the same letter. So you can keep it. Wonder, warning, wants, and well-being. Wonder. So I'm only going to read the wonder part. But you remember when we were talking about grounded in life? This is amazing. I don't think you think about your taste buds very often, but I'm just going to read you. It's a bit technical. Just take it in and go, wow, at the end of it. But what makes us taste things? What is generally categorized as taste is actually what they call a bundle of different sensations. Because we get it from the tongue, but it's also the smell and the texture. Ruth and I were talking about that. And the temperature of a meal all goes together to give you what is the idea of taste. The coloring of a food comes from your nose. My dissertation supervisor knocked his head in Britain and has lost his sense of smell. Temporarily, I hope, but he can't taste as well at all because this is missing. If you've got a cold, if you've got a stuffy nose, you don't taste as well. And that's why a bad odor can give a stomach reaction. I won't go into detail, but you've had good and bad. And that's why sometimes a delicious smell gets your gastric juices going, because you're connected that way. And it's a matter of, this is science telling me, that taste is the ability to respond to dissolved molecules and ions called taste stents. And you have little receptor cells on your tongue. Take a look. No, you can't. Take a look at your... No, don't turn to that. But little taste receptors on your tongue. And also, you have taste receptors in your bronchial tubes. Did you know that? I did not know that. Taste receptors there in your trachea and in your... I don't know how to say duodenum. Duodenum. You have taste receptors there. And evidently it's to detect a chemical that's good or not good and react to it. So not just about the taste on the tongue, but you're tasting all the way down. So you can say that tasted good all the way down. Never thought of that. And of course, with any sense, the whole thing resides not in this, but in the brain that decodes it. And they talked about in this article a strong connection between taste and your emotions, and they went evolutionary and found that it has something to do with our survival, because if there was a bitter or sour taste for something, maybe that was poisonous, and so we would leave it alone. So we developed a way to tell if something was good or bad. Evidently, there's 35 different kinds of cells on your tongue that can detect kinds of bitterness, and they think that's because there were so many kinds of plants they had to distinguish between. I don't know if that's true, but it's very interesting. And then the taste of sweet and salty would have led them to something nutritious. So it was a bit of figuring out how to live. And this is unrelated to anything, but the giraffe's tongue is 29 inches long. Didn't know that. And the chameleon can extend its tongue to 200% of its body length. Can you do that? No. That's another of the wonders of nature. So, and you need to name me the senses of taste. What do we taste? What are the scent that I'm not going to tell you how many, because there's one more than you think. So what do we taste? We taste sweet. We taste sour. We taste salty and bitter. Who knew that? You're such a show off. How did you? Yes. What is umami?
The taste of mushrooms.
Oh. Well, maybe. Yes. I don't know, because I would never eat one of those things that should be just left in the forest. The word in the technical is savory. It's whatever that savory, musky, foresty, dead thing taste is. Savory. So salty, sour, sweet, bitter, and umami. And the reason it's called umami is because usually, if that was only 4 senses, in 1910, so we're just catching up, there was a Japanese researcher that found that other part of the tongue that actually detects savory. In Australia and New Zealand, Greta and I found that they think our pastries are very sweet-oriented, where their pastries are more savory-oriented. There was a distinct difference in the taste of a scone, just because of the way they like to taste. So it's different in taste. So maybe England as well. So, you ever seen the picture of where the different tastes are on your tongue? It's wrong. It's wrong. In fact, it's been wrong for a long time, but they don't want to reprint the textbooks. Evidently, all over your tongue tastes all the different types of flavors. So don't, if you've been someone that moves it to a certain part of your tongue to get the taste, you don't have to do that anymore. You just leave it generally on your tongue. The only difference is that the back of the tongue is bitter. And they think that so that you could finally, maybe a last call, get rid of it if you don't want it. Like turnips would be good to do that too. And spicy is not a taste. It wasn't on the list, right? Spicy is not a taste. It's a heat reaction. A horrible heat reaction. Anything spicy, that's the last thing I taste, and my tongue is burnt. So how many of you like the real spicy stuff? Well, you can't say it's tasty. It's not tasty. It's a heat sensation that you're having. Now, I want to just grind you into this wonder reaction, like, oh my, and I'm just going to tell you how you taste sweet. Okay, what's going on in your tongue? You don't have to remember any of this. I won't. But just even delving into that. I don't know how many of you are science people. I'm not. But I'm amazed when I touch into it. Just boggled at what is out there, in there, around us. And so that's that sense of wonder. This is part of the life I'm a part of. Sweet. Sweet substances, for instance, table sugar. Here I go. Bind to the G protein coupled receptors at the cell surface. Each receptor contains 2 subunits designated TIR2 and TIR3, and it's coupled to G proteins. The complex of G proteins has been named Gustducken. Gustducken, because of its similarity in structure and action to the transduction that plays such an essential role, as you know, in rod vision. Activation of Gustducken triggers a cascade, so you're picturing this, right? A cascade of intercellular reactions. Production of the second messengers inositol triphosphate, IP3, and diaglycerol, DAG, which releases intercellular stores of calcium, which allows an influx of sodium ions, depolarizing the cell and causing the release of ATP, which triggers action potentials in the nearby sensory neuron. That's what happens when you taste sweet. So next time, you just say, wow, wow. You have how many taste buds in your mouth? Forget the duodenum right now, but how many taste buds? They say from 2,000 to 4,000 taste buds in your tongue. That's another wow. The sensory cells in the taste buds are renewed every week. So I suppose you could try turnip once every week and see if it's improved, but I don't. Infants and young children also have sensory capacity on their upper palate, in the middle of their tongue where we don't have as many, and in the membranes of their lips and cheeks. So when they don't like something, they're really telling you the truth. They do not like what's in their mouth. So one of the phrases was that in our mouth we have a virtually limitless palette of flavors. Half of the sensory cells react to several at once. So there's a mixture. And some of you have more refined taste because you put some thought into that and you can taste that. And the other half only respond to one. But all together they transfer this stimulus to your brain. And assuming we have those 5 basic tastes and 10 levels of intensity, the number of flavors that are possible for you to sense are 100,000. So that's a little bit of a wow. That's this life. That's your tongue. That's you. So we take that for granted, but that's part of the wonder. But then they go to the warning, and it's not about food taste. I'm choosing the phrase good taste and bad taste. If you've ever been in a room or a party and someone said something that you considered was in poor taste or bad taste. You know what that feels like. It's like the room's quiet for a minute or something, and either someone's hurt or someone's embarrassed, and in poor taste. Now, the difficulty with that is everyone seems to have a different idea of what's in poor taste. The whole world of the bullying, the anti-bullying movement, centers on a bully saying something sarcastically or ostensibly in kidding to somebody, and they are hurt. And the bully's confronted on it, and they say, "Oh, they just don't have a sense of humor. They're taking it wrong. They're too sensitive. It wasn't in bad taste. It's just that they're." And so, taste is a very, very individual thing. What you want, I'm doing a lot of work with bullying in the workplace. What you want is for someone to be saying, "I don't want to say anything that would remotely upset someone or hurt someone or insult someone. So I want to stay back from the line, not see how close I can get to it, how tasteless I can be and everyone will laugh." Have you ever laughed at something that wasn't funny, but you were in an environment where that was about the only thing you could do? And that's sometimes workplaces or sometimes even with your pals. They'll say something that you consider in poor taste. And what we're saying with that, if you just take those technical things, it tastes bad. It's a bad feeling inside that someone said that. Now, you could have said something like that. It was blurted out. My younger daughter, she was quite a blurter. And out it would come before she even looked at it. And we I would teach her, once it's out there, everyone's heard it. You can apologize, but sometimes it's out there. And so we developed this thing that she wanted to put it back in her mouth. So before she came out with it, I would sometimes you think about it before it comes out, because once it's there, it's there. And so the good taste, bad taste, we can react to that. You can confront someone that's done something like that, but sometimes that's hard to do too. But I was thinking of another thing of good taste, and the person that I was thinking of is away today. So, and this is a confession, an honest confession. And then I'll ask you for honest. No, I won't do that. That's the nice thing of sitting out there, right? But taste, and I said it was very individual. And I think of the world of music. And when I was hired here many years ago, I told them the kind of style I play. And I'm not a classical pianist. I love classical music. It's my preset on my radio dial. I love it. But I can't play it. I got stupid little non-piano hands, and I can't reach the notes. But so I have a style of playing, and I like that style. It comes from my background. I hope it's warm and meaningful, whatever. But it might not be your taste. I've had people, say this is too schmaltzy. I get it. Sometimes I think it's a bit schmaltzy, but I like it. So taste. Now I played that song. What I do, I need to tell you this. I always, you think I take the piece down at least 2 or 3 semitones from how it's written in the hymn book, because nobody can sing that high anymore. So if you're thinking it's too high, it's already down 2 or 3, so you have to kind of reach there. I think the last one I took you a little high there, I know that, but once I'm in the middle of the verse, I can't take you back down again. Last week I took you down in the middle, because I thought, they're in pain, so I brought it down a little. But taste, and I'll have people, I think I've told you this, I have people come up and say, that you played that too quickly. And on the same Sunday, someone thought that was too slow. So it's how in the world, as a music ministry, supposed to please everyone? You cannot. But I do like the input. Please tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're... we were using some songs from a Unitarian hymn book that were like poems put to music, and the poems were beautiful, but they just chopped away in the songs. I had a couple of people come and say, "I like the poetry, it's too hard to sing." Okay, that's good feedback. It's good feedback. So we dropped them. And then someone came and said, "Where's that song that I liked?" And I wanted to sing it. So it's again taste. But the taste. I can unintentionally insult someone by my comment or judgment of a style of music. I have done it. And I say unintentionally, but once it's been brought to your attention, you kind of got to use that unintentionally a little more responsibly. But I have expressed opinions on kinds of music, and I won't go into the what because it doesn't matter. That's not, the point isn't that. But I've been confronted. A friend came up to me and said, "So when you say that, it makes me feel like you're saying I'm stupid for liking it." Whoa, that was a big hit, and I should have been hit like that. Because I was just expressing myself. Isn't that nice that I think that's... But, and they arrange music in hierarchical snobbishness. I mean, you make fun of people that like country western, but some people make fun of people that like opera. I mean, you can be snob up or snob down, and what you're really saying is, how could anybody like that? That screeching or bagpipes, I mean, there's a couple of pieces that if there were a purgatory, and there isn't, if there were, that's what would be playing in purgatory for me over and over and over again. And I played it somewhat sarcastically at a choir practice once, and someone came up and said, that's my favorite song. Because I was about to say, this is what's playing right now in purgatory. And I would have hurt them with that. And so taste... To remember that it's individual, and to remember that what's way more important than my taste in music is you. Always you. Way more. And if I injure you with a comment, intentional or not, and to be sensitive about taste, because some people like a kind of music because it reminds them of the only kind of love they ever got, and was from their mother that crooned this type of song, and they have an emotional reaction. How dare I step on that? Because of my taste. Big deal. I have a taste in music, but to always put the person before a comment. About setting a table. I know where the forks go. I know where they go. I train my kids where they go. I don't really know why, but it looks nice and it's all there. But kid came over for dinner once, and they put the fork in the wrong place. And one of my daughters almost went to correct it, and I watched her go, the person's more important here. And I thought, I was so grateful for that. To make them feel that somehow they weren't as good because they didn't know where a silly fork went would have been a travesty. And so before taste comes the person. And that's a good thing to remember. You can have all your taste, and you can wax eloquent on them. You can tell people why you like. I keep sitting Greta down, poor Greta, drag her to the piano, say, the reason I put this chord in this piece is because I hear the difference. Do you hear that? Doesn't hear the difference at all. You got it. It's right there. There it is, the difference. And it makes a difference. And here's how I would play it if I didn't put that chord in. It would sound so bland. Well, what am I saying? I'm saying you're not intelligent enough to get this fine point in my music. And so I've stopped doing that, Well, once in a while I try. Try to listen to it. But that's that warning thing about taste. We can hurt with taste. To respect differences doesn't mean you even need to respect the type of difference, but it's respecting the person who holds that difference is a really tall order and a good thing to do. So that's the second one. Is that the second one? My numbers. Wonder and warning, and now the wants. Just because something tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you. Can anyone name something, tell me something you love. If it left the planet, you would miss it food-wise, you would miss it so bad. Name something you love. Creamy potato salad.
Licorice all sorts.
Licorice all sorts. Butter, ice cream. Butter tarts, yes. If they left the planet. Cherry chocolates. I don't like half of these. They can leave the planet any time, but the thing you want, some of what you named isn't necessarily good for you. Maybe not horribly bad for you, but not very good for you. And I want to bring in this difficult thing, what I want. We run into this a lot in the workplace. I want it, so it should be mine. That's the word entitlement. I live on this planet, it should come to me. My job should come to me. My pay, you owe me, this idea. I have learned more about food and food choices, and I'm not going to get heavy on this, but from coming to this congregation and what they've exposed me to. What's the sign that says too much information? Isn't someone does this something that's too much, or maybe it's just a phrase. That was too much info. I didn't want to know that. Yeah, that's right. Too much information. And what that usually means is, oh dear, that's probably right, and I should change my life, but I didn't want to change my life, so that's too much. It wasn't too much information. It was actually accurate information. You simply didn't want to know. And the reading this morning, which I didn't pick, Greta picked it, but I'm drawing from that idea of kindness being a way of moving people more than judgment. I mean, I've been judged on a food choice or a clothing choice of where it was made, who's suffering because of it. You can be judged by it, and they're right. But somehow we get our back up about that, and that we didn't want to know that. But there's been people in my life that have kindly, and my counseling professor, I can't remember when, he always said, try to be sad, not mad. And it doesn't mean there was no place for anger, and there is. But somehow if I am saddened by your choice of a piece of clothing that was made in a sweatshop, I think you may feel that more than if I'm just angry at you for doing such a horrible thing. And so our wants, when someone collides with our wants, but I want to buy that, I want to eat that, I want to, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But we weigh it with, but what's the information behind that? And can I make a slightly different choice? And I've made slightly different choices. I'm no hero, but I'm making ongoingly different choices. The treaty thing, I knew nothing about that before I came to this place. Nothing. I mean, I vaguely knew. And then I found out some things, and a dear friend who works hard on this here has often said, maybe the people don't want to hear anymore about this. Well, if it's true, and if we're not living up ethically to something we've promised, whatever the details, then it's wrong. And I need to hear that. I don't want to hear it. It tastes bad. But if it's true, let me be someone that can stand up and say, I can swallow that. I can swallow that. I maybe make a little change in my life because of it. So, again, I mentioned, we're fine. We're coming to the last thing. So that one was about wants to do the right thing even if it doesn't taste good at the time. That's a really good input. And the last one is well-being. A quote from Andre Dubois III, a black activist. My mother was making $135 a week, but she had resilience and imagination. She might take frozen vegetables, cook them with garlic, onion, and Spam, and it would taste like a 4-star dinner. I love that. It would taste like a 4-star dinner because of how she did it. And so I want you to just, think about your tongue a lot this week as you, in a sense of what is tasting salty to you these days. And I thought of salt as, what are you hanging on to? What's preserved in your life that's good, and celebrate it? Or it's hurting you, and that's a little trigger to say, I'm preserving something, I'm holding on to something, I'm making sure something will last through my whole life, and it's running me, it's driving me, and I'm going fast with this, but there's that idea of what to let go. And if there's something sour, if someone has hurt you this week, and they may have, they can even, it's a lovely place, but it can happen right here, and it may have happened to you here before. Someone says something, and it's an ouch. And so there's a sour taste in your mouth. And so what do you do with that? Do you nurture it, or do you say, let me deal with that, or, I'm going to move past it? And this is very simplistic. I'm just doing it for the sake of sending you off with that thing. And then a sweet taste. When someone has said that lovely thing, or those, when there's the sweet and sour ones. Your hair looks so much better today. That's got sweet and sour in it, right? And he's like, and yesterday? Or that's a great looking shirt. But the sweetness, a kind word. My mom always used to quote that, a word fitly spoken. A word fitly spoken is of apples of gold and pitchers of silver. There's your biblical quote for the day. A word fitly spoken. And if we could do that. What a lovely thing to do that. So something sweet that we've received. Then there's the bitter. And if you're carrying a shame or a loss or a painful thing of a loss of someone you love or a loss of health or whatever, there's that bitterness. And then there's the umami, the savory, rich mushroom taste to deal with, because that's a challenge. There's a richness and a challenge and a meaningfulness. So, I'm just thinking those ideas, but an awareness of what you're tasting in your life, metaphorically, as all good liberal theologians speak. That was a little jab there. I'm sorry. That was just bad. Edit. Delete. But through awareness of what you're tasting and how you're responding to that. But also the last thought I want to leave with you is, what taste are you putting into someone else's taste buds? Are you putting something salty? Are you putting something sour or savory, rich and meaningful, something for them to think about? Or bitter, and you should stop? Or sweet and pleasant and loving? And you don't always know what someone else is tasting right now in their life. You have no idea. You have some idea. I think I know Greta so deeply, and then a day happens, and I don't know you at all. I didn't know where that was coming from. It's a whole new thing, and where was I? And that's the mystery of people. So I don't know what she's tasting. Well, right now she's not tasting very much, but I don't know what, metaphorically, she's tasting, and what I can bring to her, or what I can honor that she's tasting and be with her in that. So that whole idea of all the differences that we're going through. So what are you bringing to someone else's experience of life? Did you notice I added the verse to the "Come Sing a Song with Me"? I added "Come Taste of Life." Would it work? I thought it would work. I thought it might be a little choppy, but it worked okay. So we'll end with that that thought of what am I experiencing and how can I impact? Because I have an impact, because I'm grounded in life.